Diana, uh, hey, thank you very much for joining us today. It's such a pleasure to have you. We did a hacks a while back, and I had a great time over there. And thanks for joining us and actually doing an uplink over here.
Thank you. The pleasure is mine. I'm a Helium fan. It's great to be here.
I'll introduce myself real quick, and then I'll let you introduce yourself, and we'll kind of get into this. What you're doing in this project is so freaking cool. I know some people have already seen the hacks that we did. This is something that has gotten a lot of attention recently, and what you're doing is so important. Anyway, my name is Travis, TT on Discord, and Diana. So
Hi.
what do you here talking to us about today?
Okay, so a while ago I was in hacks, and it was a grand opportunity to introduce the community to a project to help diabetic patients like myself. I've been a type 1 diabetic for 3 years now, and I wear a sensor. And one of the cool things about these sensors is that, yeah, I can transmit my blood glucose levels over BLE to a telephone. The problem is, what happens if I lose connectivity? If I am in a park, if I am in a remote area, and suddenly my levels drop or rise in a way that can put my life in danger. I had already tried a different solution, just using my phone and thinking, well, I guess I could get the readings as much as I can send, and probably trigger some alerts for my mom and to my emergency contacts if my levels are above or below the range. But it bothered me that I was limited to mobile connectivity, you know. And then I was introduced to Wiz Block by Maria Hernandez from Rack Wireless. And she said, Diana, think about a solution that can help diabetic patients like you, and that you can use Helium as the network of choice to transmit your data and stop depending on mobile connectivity, because we are working together on expanding coverage around the world. And of course, the benefits of having a Helium hotspot for those who help increase coverage. And I thought, well, this is grand. So the first thing that I thought was, okay, connectivity. How do we sort this out? Okay, I need to use a Wiz Block to pair with my phone to send two things. Send a payload with the sensor data. And because this data smoothing for a diabetic patient and getting into the sensors and proprietary firmware was too much of a hassle, I thought, well, I can make an app that can pair with the Wiz Block and get data from my already open source solutions that are out there for all the diabetic patients, like Loop or X-Strip. Those connect with both sensors and an insulin pump. And then we have better data to send, not only for our own records. And I thought, well, there's also Night Scout. So I can send data live to a dashboard where people can see my blood sugar levels. And that's something that already exists. So how do I integrate Helium and Wiz Block into this? Okay, I made an app. I can pair the Wiz Block, and the Wiz Block basically sends over Helium that data from my blood sugar levels. Because I already had a service going that it was listening to my blood sugar levels, if they were above or below the range, trigger an alert and call my mom and send a message to my doctor and send a message to emergency contacts. Why not adding location to this? Because the Wiz Block has the capability of adding different modules. I'm using the GPS and accelerometer modules. And then the way I thought, okay, we have to worry about the fair usage policy, you know, kind of like we're not going to send huge payloads. And how do we do this? So I have a timer to send the blood glucose readings every 5 minutes, and I'm still collecting GPS. I know that if the condition meets, my levels are above or below the range, I send the location. And that can be a minute or 2 minutes apart, or I can choose to send location every so often. So if I send the payload with blood glucose readings every 5 minutes, perhaps I can send location at a different time, or every 15, every 7 minutes, and so on, right? It's not important to store location. And the only time when my other service will need, which is called Scout X, will need location is in case of emergency. And what this does is save lives. If I'm in a remote area, if I am a person who likes hiking and I want to go to Yellowstone, and I don't have mobile connectivity, but you know, I know folks in the area are starting to get coverage. Or if I'm in San Francisco and my phone dies, what happens? I've got my device and it's sending data. I have it attached to my pump. It's underneath my clothes, and that's for a very special reason, is because I'm collecting other kinds of data that I'm testing at the same time. So what this project basically means to me is the possibility of offering other people the chance to not die alone, surrounded of people. Not many people know how to act in case of a diabetic episode. Call it super high blood sugars or low blood sugars. I told you when we did hacks that I was mistaken for a junkie, quote, by a police officer, and I got beaten up because they thought I was asking for drugs. And when a person is on a diabetic low, they can act as if they were drunk. So I was just asking for help. Thank goodness someone else noticed that I was in crisis, that I was low, and helped me get the appropriate attention I needed. Another important issue here is mapping and making sure as well that the data sent by this device is as accurate as possible, and provide a way to send that data in a safe way. I saw a comment about HIPAA laws. I'm not offering a service. This is an open source app. You send your data to your relatives at your own will. This is no way, it's not meant to be monetized. It's not meant to be commercialized in any way, or to manipulate data from other people. This is just me trying to find a way to be safe, because, and I saw that there's a fellow type 1 diabetic in Houston.
I'm gonna interrupt for just a moment if you don't mind. And can we backpedal just a moment and give kind of a general overview of the project, of what's going on with the project, and a little bit more of the background before we go into details? And then
Sure.
I'd like everyone in the audience to understand that we're kind of having to share and work with some technical difficulties today. So I'll be sharing some dashboards for Diana during this, but I'd like to give a little bit more of a general overview of who you are, what the project is. Yeah. And I'm sorry, you just took off running. And
no, it's cool. I'm just really excited about this. I'm overexcited about these things. But yeah, basically, I am Diana Rodriguez. I am a Google developer expert. My specialty is Python infrastructure and automation, and I have type 1 diabetes. I've had many situations where I passed out. Nobody knows. Many situations where I couldn't wake up because I was so low low blood sugars. So the idea with this project was to help save lives. Then I wanted to present some data to you and show you a few other things. But we had some technical difficulties. I am in Salt Lake City, Utah at the moment, and the demo gods are against me. I am known for breaking things live on demos, but I've had good luck. I share this with the Rack Wireless people as well, and I show them a little bit of a dashboard,
which I can pull up on my end. If you know, when you want to share a screen here, just holler at me and I'll get that up.
Sure. You're going to see, if the only thing I would ask you to do is click on specific times, like backtrack a little bit, because it's going to give you an alarm, which is an amazing thing. I can see data from up to 24 hours ago, and I can print reports. Because,
do you want me to pull this
like
up right now? Should I?
Sure, you will see an alarm, because
Okay.
I still have an hour and 15 minutes for a sensor warm up. These sensors, okay, so you can see that it's not sending data, but you can see if you click on any of those little dots, if you slide, it will tell you what the measurements were. And it can show you that I gave myself half a unit of insulin. From the very bottom, it is not a HIPAA violation. It's a public dashboard. And the Night Scout Foundation is diabetes yourself diabetes patient foundation that has been working for many years. The data that you see here does not represent anything that could put the life of anyone in danger. On the contrary, the more people can see, the safer I am as a diabetic patient. This is a dashboard that I share with my doctor's office, that I share in demos, that I share with my coworkers, that I share, and I see that we have a lot of Night Scout users today in here. And the purpose of these tools are to have monitoring. A diabetic patient can't regulate their blood sugar or insulin levels. We need a lot of monitoring to be able to do normal things like sleep, for example. Like choose what to eat, how many units of insulin do we need before doing exercise, what measures should we have, you know, in case things go down south. So this is not something that would violate any law or anything. It is 100% safe. No one can do anything with that data. It doesn't constitute any information that is relevant or important. You can't do anything with that. And it's an open source solution. I didn't make it. And what we're doing now is expanding connectivity and helping us, diabetes patients, stop the dependence on mobile networks and trying to foresee situations that otherwise could be fatal, trying to save lives. Instead of, you know, me passing out in the middle of nowhere, if I'm in Salt Lake City, Utah, and my mom is on the other side of the world, and anything happens to me, if I passed out, she would get the information and help me get medical attention as needed. So this is actually an amazing initiative that can help patients, that can save lives. And most important, I think, raise awareness about something so hardcore as diabetes. Y'all, after all, the message, regardless of the technology used, in this case, Helium as a network that can provide coverage to not only the usual IoT and industrial data, but provide coverage to save lives, to use technology to do good, to help others, something that can make a deep and true impact in the world. Just so you know as well, there is a group of patients who are testing this solution from Stanford. The tests have been extremely successful. So I'm very confident that not only will we get the attention from the community to help us develop something even better, even more significant. And this is why I love speaking in every possible community event.
Well, hey, if you don't mind, may I pick your brain? I've got some questions, and some are coming in from our community Q&A here. And I've seen this demoed before, and I've seen the software, and I had to shut the dashboard down because the alarm was going off, and I didn't know how to turn it off, and I didn't want it playing through everything. I want everyone to understand that, yeah, the dashboard is very cool, but I didn't know how to turn the alarm off. So that's all on me. But we've got some questions coming through talking about HIPAA and about, how legal, things are dealing with medical records.
That's not important data at all. It's not significant. You can't do anything with knowing my blood sugar level at the moment.
And that's not personal identifiable. I mean, or that's not linked to your medical records. That's something that you have access to.
Anyone could be that number. I mean, right now I'm 170. In 10 minutes, if I give myself, I don't know, if I drink orange juice, I'll probably shoot through the roof. It's nothing that can. There's no way to identify me or be compromised in any possible way.
And so when you say drink orange juice, I mean, if you do that, I mean, you will see it literally on the dashboard.
You can see my levels rise. Yeah,
that's so cool.
That's actually one of the demos I had ready for y'all today, but I had some technical difficulties. Being on the road is crazy.
It happens. No sweat there. And thank you so much for still being with us today. I'm just so happy you could join us here and talk about the project. Where are you going with the project? If I could ask just a couple more questions, I mean, where's this going?
This is going to be public. It's an open source project. There is no monetization, no cost, no strings attached. I mean, we're trying to make it as friendly as possible, so anyone, regardless of their level of knowledge, can deploy their solution, knowing that Wiz Block is also an affordable solution, much more affordable than anyone else. But yeah, we're basically, as of today, after 7 p.m. Mountain Time, we will release the mobile app to be public. We're releasing the source code so you can compile for iOS and Android, because it's an open source solution. So then you can pair with your Wiz Block. We're releasing the code and the instructions on how to do it. And you just need to add your Wiz Block to your Helium console, and you can see things from there. We have detailed documentation on how to implement your solution and how. And that's on your GitHub. Yeah, it's actually, if you keep your eyes, there's already a GitHub URL where I explain the project in depth with what is available right now and what we've been testing for actually 3 months now officially. And yeah, I'm extremely excited. One of the things I like about having this project be in the Helium network is the coverage. I feel safer knowing that I can roam around. I mean, I don't take my phone to go to Walmart. I just take my tracker, and I know that if anything happens in the way, I'm safe. I'm covered. In my hometown, and specifically in my state, on the roads I travel, I know I'm covered, and I've seen it pick it up smoothly. So I haven't had any issues, and that's something I like.
That's pretty cool.
I love the fact yeah, it's amazing. I also love the fact that the community is so united, and for initiatives like this, not only on the Helium side, but also on the Rack Wireless side, I've gotten a lot of support. So yeah.
So can you, we've got a lot of questions that have come through, but can you just give, for folks who don't know what the Wiz Block is, what the hell you're talking about?
Oh, it's a teeny tiny device where you can add modules like Lego blocks. It's an IoT device. It's a board that you can use to make whatever you want. And they also have example code to start. Actually, I wasn't extremely proficient in this side of IoT because I'm a Python developer. So learning C was interesting, but I had sample code for the tracker that actually helped me put together this solution and figure out the best way to implement it. I have it attached to my pump, which is in my backside, and I can't take it off because I'm trying to
it's a device
summon the
like,
pump as well. But it's yeah,
this
tiny.
is the board that we're talking about here. So it is quite small.
It's quite small and it's affordable, and that's one of the things that that is extremely attractive for me. As a diabetic patient in the United States, the cost for me out of pocket, being alive, costs me around $3,000 a month. I go through insulin like water, and that's only insulin and supplies. So if we can help offset the cost, not only for the general public, but for those who are not privileged, those who don't have access to technology, and we can make it more accessible and affordable, definitely. This is an initiative I'm putting my heart and soul to, you know.
Because some of these devices are expensive, I guess, to, okay.
Extremely expensive. Because there are different sensors and pumps. There's a cheaper sensor than the one I have now. I have a Dexcom G6, and Abbott released a device called Freestyle Libre. There's a way to turn that from a flash glucose reader. It means that you have to scan yourself. We can turn that into a continuous glucose monitoring system using IoT, and then pair it with Wiz Block and send that information continuously. So we're opening the gates to those who don't have access to continuous glucose monitoring systems to implement solutions that will help them stay monitored.
And this is something that can be used, like, regardless of what region you're in, or, you know, what area of the world. You can modify these sensors to effectively hack them to make them continuous, you know, using the Wiz Block system. Yeah,
definitely.
That's cool as hell.
It's all explained in the GitHub repository, and it talks about the status of the project as well. The only ask I have from the community is, well, why need your contributions? You know, let it be code, issues, ideas, translations, documentation, everything counts.
And there have been a number of people in chat that are asking, how do we contribute? They just go to the GitHub and, you know, go through the code and do a PR, right? Yeah, you can find all the information there. If you know Python, you can contribute to the Python repository. You can work with, you know, the website side, the dashboard side, where we input our details, our improved documentation. I mean, there are so many ways to contribute to this code, to this code base, to this repository. Sometimes I switch to nerd. How do you get the input output from your pump? Or I mean, from your sensors to this guy? From the sensor. Yeah.
So from the sensor, because this sensor my sensor sends data over BLE. I can pair the Wiz Block directly to this sensor, but it requires some refinement of the raw data. And I didn't want to get too much into data smoothing. So what I do is use a local Android or iOS app that basically extracts 3 things from an open source solution that is already connected to the sensor and to the pump for those who have pumps. It extracts timestamp, trend, which is like a little arrow. If it's shooting up, it means it's rising rapidly. If it's flat, it means the trend is stable. And if it's going down, it means that the levels are dropping. So that way I know more or less where I'm going, instead of just showing blood sugar level. I send that's the payload. And if the levels are not within a specific range, then that's when I send location to the service that I already configured to trigger alerts in the form of text messages and phone calls to alert my emergency contacts. Oh, okay. I could use I saw a question there that I want to answer. I could use the Dexcom share function, but what happens if I lose mobile connectivity? And that's the issue we're tackling. It doesn't work offline. That's the main problem we have right now. If I'm driving, a few months ago, I drove from North Carolina to Florida. There were some parts of that road where I didn't have mobile coverage, so my readings weren't sending. But with the solution, having a Wiz Block powered by Helium, I know wherever I am within the Helium network, I will always send my information, regardless of having mobile connectivity or not. And that's what we want to resolve. I'm experimenting with different battery packs, so the results are diverse. I think having the device power for 10 days the same way as the sensor is good enough for me. So I'm getting 10 days. So 10 days is ideal because that's how long the sensors last for Dexcom, and then I get to change them.
Can you explain what that means when you say how long a sensor lasts for folks who don't quite understand, the ins and outs here?
So there's a sensor that has a needle under my skin that is sensing from interstitial fluid what the blood sugar levels are. And this thing on the top that is attached to it is a transmitter. So every 5 minutes, this is sending my blood glucose readings, and every sensor lasts 10 days. And it's just a matter of, health. We don't want to risk getting infections for having a foreign object under your skin for 10 days. And then the sensor lasts up to 90 days, transmitting continuously over BOE. So that's the data we're getting. It has a delay of 15 minutes versus real-time data, but there's no accurate way to measure blood sugar levels in diabetes, because I can prick all my 5 fingers and each finger will give me a different measurement. So this is the most accurate we have right now.
And someone asked, is it comfortable? So to have a needle stuck in your arm,
you get used to it. To it. I don't think it's uncomfortable, but some people may not like it. I mean,
given the alternative, it's
given the peace of mind of not having to prick my fingers over 8 times a day.
Right.
It's much more comfortable.
So if someone wanted to get involved in your project, I mean, they can go to your GitHub repo, they can go to like the Helium documentation and kind of see which we've revamped, and you've jumped in, both feet, on Helium, and it's so glad to have you on this side of things. Hopefully Helium has been, compatible with what you've been doing. I mean, you've it's been amazing, Travis, and I have not only gotten support from Helium, from people like Mark Phillips to people from the developer community answering questions, helping me set up. I mean, it's been grand. But so anyone who wants to get in touch, you can also find me on Discord. I'm Katufa82. I'm one of the mods there too. Yeah, well, look out. She's got the band hammer. So I've got the band hammer, and I've also got the range in a purple website. There we go. But how would back to my question, how would someone get involved if they want to play with the Wiz Blocks and get your project? They can download it from GitHub and put it on to one of these boards, and I guess, you have information about how to hook it up into a needle into their arm.
Yeah.
I know I'm very oversimplifying that, but
No, that's cool. There are different ways to test it. I mean, if anyone wants a sensor to start testing, that'd be cool. That'll be amazing. I can send you a sensor.
awesome. So, folks are asking how to get involved. So you heard Diana. That's
Yeah, go to GitHub. Contact me on Discord. I'd be more than happy to walk you through things. I've been doing everything on my own, and it's kind of difficult, wearing too many hats. I know my limitations, and I know that with a little help from my friends, I can make things happen. The goal for open source, I've gotten the question as well, Travis, that if I was doing this to think of a commercial solution, and that's the opposite of what I want. I want to make this free and open source for everyone. I mean, it is already hard to deal with the health system in this country in particular. So anything that can help us is definitely something I will work.
Because you only found out, I'm not trying to pry at all, but just a few years back, right?
Yeah, 3 years ago.
Yeah, okay.
So it's been hard. Imagine that you have to run the Linux kernel yourself manually. That's pretty much what it feels like to run your own blood sugar levels, monitoring 24/7. The first year of my life as a diabetic, I hardly slept.
Oh, you kind of, I'm sure that felt like you just got thrown into the deep end, and
yeah.
That's pretty kick-ass. I mean, you were able to use the skills that you had to, to leverage those skills to, kind of make something that works for you and works for other people as well. Because I know that you spoke with me a while back about a relative of yours, right? Who,
my niece.
I'm sorry if I'm bringing things up.
No, it's good. I wish I could have implemented this earlier for someone like my grandma, who sadly passed away due to diabetes complications and COVID-19. She passed away in September last year. But yeah, I have an 8-year-old niece who is also a type 1 diabetic, and I want her to have a normal life. I want her to experience things, to live life at her fullest without having to worry about, having mobile coverage so her parents know what her levels are if she goes to the park, or when she's in school, what is the most effective way to monitor her blood sugar, or if anything happens, as a parent, I can't even imagine.
I mean, if a school had a hotspot up, then it could cover effectively every student in that school.
Exactly.
And every student doesn't have to have a cell phone in order to backhaul off that. They just, they could go off a single hotspot. And that's cool.
That's the idea behind this. That's the message I personally want to send. I mean, regardless of mining HNT, I mean, I love it that I presented a few solutions to small clinics, saying, well, you can track not only diabetics but also Alzheimer's patients, and Balena now offers this opportunity of deploying a DIY hotspot. You're not mining HNT, but you're offering coverage, and at the end of the day, that's the most important part of this initiative.
The whole reason you're doing this has nothing to do with earning HNT, and that's what I love so much about Diana, about what you're doing with this project.
Thank you.
It brings a smile to my heart.
Thank you so much. I mean, I have to say that I've never felt so supported. I never felt so encouraged to carry on as I have with all your Helium. And also shout out to the folks at Rack Wireless, because they have definitely helped us so much, And I mean, I think this is a great way to say that Helium is the people's network. That's what I see as the people's network,
Well, it's everyone that makes it this, I mean, and so I mean that's what's so great about being a part of this, and I think that's really what drives a lot of the community. I mean, there's people in the community that I don't think sleep at all. They just stay up helping people all night, all day.
That's so true.
Just cranking on it, and it's great. And thank you to everyone who I'm talking about right now. It's absolutely amazing. But to see projects like this that are actually implementing the people's network, using these boards, using the Helium Dev Kit. If I didn't know anything about embedded programming and I wanted to, and I ordered something like this, right? And I wanted to get a quote a hello world, or maybe a mapping tracker, or one of the example programs up and running on the spot, what would that take? How
Less
hard
than
would that
5
be?
minutes. It's not hard. I think it's very friendly. And I can say that myself. I wasn't a programmer who did any of Arduino or C or any of the solutions that are implemented. I learned from scratch, reading the documentation. The Helium documentation also tells you how to set up your IDE or Platform IO if you like VS Code. Platform IO is a great choice. It's embedded in VS Code. But I think pretty much everything right now on the Helium side and on the Rack Wireless side is definitely plug and play. You just download the code and just deploy and test. I like the documentation.
And you did tell me at one point everything I was doing wrong, and I do appreciate that. No. No, I've got to say thank you for that. I've got to say thank you. I
had been trying to work on something that was new to me. Like I said, I come from the web world to IoT. And I was just frustrated, but more because I wanted to. I'm an advocate for accessible things, to open the doors of communities, programming languages, and solutions to people who are not familiar with. If you have the chance to learn something new, and once you start with it, you get an immediate result, something in 5 minutes, it will spark the curiosity.
Yeah.
And the motivation to continue learning, to continue researching more. It's that first impression that can change someone's life, and that's what I'm an advocate for.
No, absolutely. When you have that feedback loop where you get, you get a little bit, and you're like, wow, I did something. This works. Now what I can do with, what's next? What can I do? From this point. So that's amazing. And I hope that you understand that I've tried to take all of your feedback to heart, and I've tried to integrate that into
thank you
into what we do over on our end of things. But we're still completely always open, to feedback from anyone, but especially Diana, because she's awesome.
I see questions.
Yeah, I see him.
Yeah, I think in a general idea, the main questions that I can answer always is, number one, no HIPAA concerns. Number two, anyone can contribute regardless of your level. There's always something to do. Number three, the documentation is pretty straightforward. And if it's not, then we can give the feedback. And number four, you can contact me on the Helium Discord. I'm Kotufa82, same on Twitter. And I'm always available to have a chat. I may know all things because I'm not the oracle, but man, this is community work. This is who we are. We can always talk.
And I think we have a good community, both Helium and Rack.
Definitely.
I think the support is incredible in both communities. So yeah, please, drop in the Discord. There's 2 different Discord servers, but we're all friends here. We definitely all know one another. Someone else mentioned here, I saw they know some people with diabetes that got beat up by police thinking they were drunk. And
yeah, I don't have, I'm not dwelling on those things.
Well, is that a huge deal? Is that, because I've heard several stories about this, about people.
I've gotten beaten up. I've got pulled over because I was checking my mobile and I had to come out of a car with both of my hands raised and say, I'm using this because I'm diabetic. It's a mobile device that is giving me insulin. Please check it for yourself. But yeah, raising awareness is important as well. And I think, if we spread the voice about this project, it's also a good way to get people curious about why would anyone need something like this. Because I have a friend with diabetes and I've never seen them be so worried about things or preoccupied. They just give themselves insulin and that's it, and it's not how it works.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'm just looking at the time. I guess we're at the top of the hour. I want to be respectful of everyone's time and of course yours, Diana. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
If any questions, there were so many in the chat. I know I missed some, but if anything wasn't addressed, then I'll make sure that we can kind of talk, Diana, if you don't mind, a little bit this afternoon, and kind of go through a couple of these and make sure that.
Sure. Definitely count on that. That for sure. And I'm always accessible at the Helium Discord.
Excellent. Diana, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure speaking with you. And everyone, thank you for joining. And thank you for attending the Uplink. If you want to know about Helium, go to helium.com. If you want to talk to Diana, don't misbehave because she's got the band hammer.
That's true. Cheers.
I'll see you later, girl. Adios.
Cheers. Bye-bye.